Hello and welcome back to another Rush Duel Links deck profile. Today we're revisiting Celestial Guidance Warriors because we did just get a few new cards in the new deck build box. Those cards specifically being Yami Luna the Dark Devotee and a new trap card, Shiny Shady. Now we did get one more new card as well, which is Sayanin the Blazing Conqueror, but unfortunately Sayanin is a fire warrior, which means we cannot use it with our skill. And that is kind of the big annoyance here, is these new cards we got don't necessarily all work together with one specific skill, which is a little bit annoying. So this is the skill we've gone with, Celestial Guidance. So this skill can be used if all of the monsters in your constructed deck are light, dark, earth and or wind, warriors and or fairies. So we can't use fire warriors, and that actually really hurts this deck. We'll get into that a little bit more in a minute. First things first, multi-choice effect. We can make up to 2 face-up monsters on your field with 0 attack, gain attack equal to the respective monster's defense plus 100 until the end of your opponent's next turn. Then you can set fusion from your deck or graveyard to your spell and trap zone. So very, very important effect. First things first, it allows our 0 attack monsters to gain attack equal to their defense plus 100, and that's a lingering attack boost that will last to the end of our opponent's turn, which means if we have a 2500 defense monster, we can now get a 2600 attack monster. So very, very good. And the other part, we get fusion for free. We can get it back from graveyard or from deck, which means we only need to run 1 copy, which is really, really helpful. The other effect is that we can make the original defense of 1 face-up monster on your opponent's field become 800 until the end of this turn. This doesn't come up too often, but occasionally will come up. So basically, the whole strategy behind this deck is to turbo out our fusion monsters, because if we can get out Yamitarasu the Divine Ruler, this card is just kind of annoying to deal with. So made using Yami Ruler and Needlecree, we can send the top card of that to the graveyard until the end of your opponent's next turn. While this card remains face up, it gains 500 attack, so lingering 500 boost, pretty good. And neither player can special summon level 9 or lower monsters in face up attack position. That means as long as your opponent isn't special summoning in maximum, whatever they summon is going to have to come out in defense position. Now, there are going to be a handful of notable exceptions to that, such as Cyber End Dragon, which is a level 10, and such as the Sevens Road Ultimate Witch, which is also a level 10. But for the most part, the rest of them are all going to have to be summoned in defense position. That means Eternal Galactic Oblivion is only level 9, so it has to come out in defense position. Any of those other big boss monsters like Red Boot Enhanced Boost Dragon, any of the Elemental Hero bosses, any of the Matarian boss monsters, but notably not full Matarian Ashura Star, that card again is a level 10. So there are going to be a lot of cards that you cannot summon in attack position, which can make this card kind of annoying to deal with. It also means that something like Secret Order won't be able to be used just to run over this, because whatever you summon with Secret Order has to be summoned in defense position. And the other effect is that we can change the battle position of one monster on the field. This effect doesn't come up anywhere near as much, so that is primarily what we're going to be using it for. The other big key boss of the deck is Kimitarasu the Divine Luna. This card primarily is going to be used to destroy 2 defense position monsters, so we'll get out the Kime Luna, use its effect to change 2 of our opponent's monsters to defense position, fuse it away into Kimitarasu. Kimitarasu effect pops 2 monsters, really, really good, gets rid of your opponent's big pesky monsters, as well as allows us access to our opponent's life points. Really, really solid card. The only other fusion monster we've got in here is Elemental Hero Thunder Giant. And this is a bit of a weird inclusion, but we did decide to go with it because it kind of felt pretty good. First things first, we do have the Clayman and the Sparkman because just their stats are just generally quite good. Sparkman being 1614 is really, really decent, and Clayman having that 2000 defense can come up and can be very, very relevant depending on the situation you find yourself in. On top of the fact, this deck doesn't have many ways to plus, so we're playing Rising Hero Argent, which can be used to just give us a plus every now and then. This card can give us a +1 or a +2, depending on how lucky we get, and if we do get those extra bodies, that can be really, really helpful for getting out our boss monsters on the field. The only other hero card specifically we have in here is Miracle Fusion, and because if we're playing a bunch of other heroes, why not play this as well? Now, what we would like to do is play Burstinatrix and Avian, play, let's say, Flame Wingman, Burst Wingman, and have a much more of a robust hero package, but because the skill locks us into not using fire monsters, we can't use Burstinatrix, and not being able to use Burstinatrix kind of turns everything else off, which does make it a little bit awkward for us. The only other thing we could do would be to include Avian, and then we could specifically go into Vault-Tip Wingman, which then would only give us access to Thunder Giant from the graveyard anyway, so not really worth it. But that being said, the hero package we have in here is fine. It's not great, right? We'd much rather have Burst Wingman, but this is better than nothing, and occasionally being able to go into Thunder Giant can be really, really helpful. As for the rest of the boss monsters, we have our brand new one, Yami Luna the Dark Devotee. So 2500, 2500, pretty good. If we have Yami Ruler the Dark Delayer face up on the field, we can special summon this card from our hand, so being able to special summon this for free is really, really nice. We can change the battle position of one monster on our field, and as long as it stays face up, one Yami Ruler the Dark Delayer on your field gains 500 attack and pierces, which is really, really good. Gets that permanent 500 boost as long as it remains face up, and permanent piercing is really, really nice. The only problem with this card is we are only really able to use 2 copies of Yami Ruler, and the reason why is because it's limit 3, and Yamiterasu is also limit 3, so if we want to go into Yamiterasu, we're limited to playing a 2-1 split, which means with only having 2 copies of Dark Delay, we didn't really want to max out on Yami Luna, so we've only gone with a single copy. It's worked okay for us so far, but this is probably going to need a bit more refinement before we actually work out what ratios are actually quite good in here. We've already talked about Kimi Luna quite a lot, but this card is just really, really good with the skill. This is a 2600 body. We're able to use this to get easy access to the fusion, and we can use this to get to our opponent's life point or change problematic attack position monsters into defense position. This does come up specifically against spellcasters because sometimes they'll just put like a big attack monster on the board, such as Master of Sevens, and we want to change it to defense and attack over it. Then we have Yami Ruler itself. The Floodgate part of the effect does occasionally come up. We can use this in combination with Yami Luna, summon it out, change it to defense for its effect, then Yami Luna, change it back to attack position. We have a 3000 attack piercer. It's a decent combo. It's nothing too crazy. Realistically, before this new set came out, these cards are all just way, way too slow. The only reason these cards can see any small semblance of anything looking coherent like a strategy is because of the new trap cards, because they allow us to slow the pace of the game down, which does allow us to play this sort of grind game that we really want to be playing. The next card we'll talk about is Rising Light Angel Essel. This card is a bit awkward. First off, getting the graveyard fill can be helpful because we do want things like Miracle Fusion, so we need to make sure we get specific cards in the graveyard. But if we do get that extra body, like a free double tribute body onto the field on turn 2, is just really, really powerful. So that's the reason we've gone with this. The alternative other than this would have been All-Seeing Harvey, because All-Seeing Harvey is still a decent card. It's kind of going all in, because we can use All-Seeing Harvey in combination with Shiny Shady, which is quite a nice little combo, but we were kind of in the mindset of we don't want to be bricking, and this deck is going to be a little bit bricky, so we just want to have as many ways as possible to get the bosses out onto the field. Then we have the 3 Needlecree. These are very, very important because these are used for our fusion. Then for our spell cards, Miracle Fusion, again, getting out the Surprise Thunder Giant is really, really good. We have the Pot of Greed, again, just fantastic all around. We have the Fusion spell card. Remember, we only need 1 because we have the skill. And then we have all of the traps. So playing 2 copy of Riding. This trap has been a little bit hit or miss. I think overall, I've liked having it more than it's been annoying to have. I think just if we had a better trap, I would replace this. But for right now, this is probably the best one we've got. So Execute Your Riding is in here. Being able to bring back an extra body can be really good, but it can also be kind of annoying because a lot of the time the cards that we'll be able to bring back are going to be like Kimi Luna or Needlecree, and they have to come out in attack position, so they come out as 0 attack monsters, which is not great. So a lot of the time we have to just summon out like 1000 attack monsters like Essel or like Argent, which is not the best, but still reducing your opponent's attack is still really, really good. Then we're playing the Trap Hole. This could be replaced with probably Compulsory Evacuation Device. That's probably like the next best one, but we did want to play the Pot of Greed in here, but you could just swap these around a little bit and have it work just fine. Trap Hole is probably the next best one, especially because Trap Hole does hit quite a lot, especially Extraplora from like Galaxy. And then we're playing the 3 brand new trap card, Shiny Shady. This trap card is bonkers. A lot of the times that we were winning with this game was entirely off the back of Shiny Shady. So many of our wins are just Shiny Shady won us the game, and this trap is actually kind of nuts. Being able to flip down your opponent's monster whenever they normal or special summon is insanely powerful, and the fact we can do it on 2 different monsters is even better. A lot of the time your opponent will know you have Shady, but then they can't really do anything about it, they just kind of have to play into it, and that is so much power to have. A lot of the time you're able to just sit behind a Shady and feel so safe that you're not realistically going to die unless your opponent has a custom hand, and that can just be so powerful. But overall, what do we think of this deck? I think this deck is probably going to be like Rogue at best. The deck feels pretty good if it gets going, right? If we're able to sit behind a Yamiterasu, that feels great, but Yamiterasu is usually a removal magnet. If we're able to get Kimiterasu going or Kimi Luna and get those into rotation and control the board, again, it feels pretty good, but that only feels good as long as we have the trap cards to protect us. So all in all, I would say this deck feels fine. It feels okay, but nothing super duper strong. I would say any other deck that can make really good use of Shady can basically do what this deck does, but a little bit better. In my opinion, I would say this deck plays in a very similar way to Spellcasters in that it's a very grindy game. It's not a deck that typically OTKs, but it can kind of control, it can get good damage in, it can sit behind trap cards and feel really safe. And I think that deck does it a little bit better than this one. So realistically, if I was to recommend you to play a new Shiny Shady deck, I would probably recommend you play Spellcasters, but this deck has been a lot of fun. I personally have really enjoyed it, and it was cool to play something a little bit different with a couple of new cards. But this deck has actually been quite strong in some matchups. Specifically into Light Galaxy, this deck has been very, very dominant. Now, that might just be because of the players that we were against. That might not be specifically like this deck just beats Light Galaxy. But in our experience in playing this deck, we have had a very, very favorable matchups into that deck. But let's fire into some replays so I can show you what I've been talking about.